Speaker recognizes Representative Camilleri.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I rise today in support of my legislation, House Bill 4524, which will set up a fund within MDOT to help us build more bridges and underpasses at the most troublesome train crossings throughout our state. Today's bill is a victory for public safety, public health, and every driver who has ever been stuck at a train crossing with no end in sight. This is also a victory for downriver, because Lansing has finally listened to our local needs and is helping with one of our biggest infrastructure challenges we face as a region. You know, growing up downriver, we've all experienced this countless times. You're on your way to work, or school, or home, or maybe an urgent appointment, or God forbid you need emergency care. You get close to those train tracks in Woodhaven, Trenton, Brownstown, or New Boston, and you hope and you pray that you make it across right before the lights start flashing and the guardrails go down. Far too many times, though, you get caught and you get stuck. If you can turn around, you add another 20 minutes to your drive. And if you can't, you might be stuck at that train for over 45 minutes, an hour, even longer sometimes. This is a story that downriver residents know all too well. Literally everyone has a train story. I even got stuck at a train for 20 minutes on my way here the day that this bill had a hearing in committee. How ironic would that have been if I didn't make it because of a train? When I first ran for office, I was knocking on doors near one of our most infamous train crossings on Allen Road and Van Horn in Woodhaven. And I met one of my now constituents, Rob Barrett. He didn't want to talk about schools or the economy or the environment. His only focus was the train. He recounted the dozens and dozens of times it has caused problems for him and his family. He even mentioned his greatest fear, not being able to get to the hospital if a train was blocking traffic. He said, "Darren, please promise me this. If you can do everything in your power to fix that damn train, you will have my support forever." I knew that local leaders like Mayor Pat Odette had done everything in her power to try to build an underpass at that crossing, but could never come up with the $30 million that was needed. I was new to politics at the time and should have known not to make promises, but I told Rob and the thousands, literally thousands of other constituents that I talked to at their doorstep after that I would do everything I could to fix the damn train. So we went to work, and I've done everything in our power to make good on that promise. We brought this issue up constantly and spent years explaining the importance of building bridges and underpasses at these crossings, and that this wasn't just a downriver issue, because it isn't. There are crossings like this all over Michigan. We introduced legislation and asked for amendments, and we worked with local leaders to strategize a pathway forward. Then in early 2020, after working with State Senator Stephanie Chang and the governor to secure $12 million in the state budget, we brought the county and city together and brokered a $40 million deal to finally build an underpass at the Allen Road and Van Horn train crossing after over 20 years of trying. 4 years after that initial conversation with Rob, that same constituent, he reached out to me after the deal was announced to express his gratitude and, frankly, his shock. We fulfilled that promise. We were fixing the damn train. And deals like that can happen across our state if we pass these bills today. The legislation before us today creates a blueprint and a fund to fix more of these problems statewide. And communities that have struggled for decades to solve these complex problems and these transportation and safety issues can finally find solutions once and for all. We estimate that there are at least 10 to 15 priority crossings that need to be addressed. And since they're too costly for local communities to fix alone, this state fund will kickstart construction and make our communities safer. With a program like this, we can improve economic outcomes for entire regions, and we can save lives. No more anxiety about making it to the hospital. No more fear that police or fire won't make it to your house. No more missed appointments or threats of getting fired at work for being late. No more empty land near train tracks because businesses won't invest. This bill will make our lives better and solve a decades-long problem. Thank you to the representative from the 84th District for collaborating with me on these bills. And thank you to the Transportation Committee Chair and the Minority Vice Chair for all of their hard work in making this happen. Also, thank you to police officers, firefighters, healthcare workers, and hospitals for their assistance and advocacy over the years. And lastly, I just want to say a big thank you to the Downriver residents throughout my communities and across our region for speaking out about this problem for decades. Because of you and your voice, we can create change. Thank you, Madam Speaker.